Marvel fans may be looking at Spider-Man Brand New Day completely wrong. Everyone is treating it like it's just the next solo outing for the Wallcrawler. But what if this movie isn't just Spider-Man 4? What if it's secretly the absolute definitive first chapter of the Mutant Saga? What if Marvel Studios finally cracked the code? What if they found one way to introduce the X-Men without needing to explain the X-Men? Recently, based on the leaked Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer that came out, and based on a lot of rumors that have been swirling hard, it is looking like Sadie Sink is going to be stepping into the role of Jean Grey in Spider-Man Brand New Day. And look, this might be the single smartest creative chess move Marvel has made since Iron Man back in 2008. This isn't just about fan service or throwing a popular character into a sequel because it's cool. This is about mechanics. This is about world building. And introducing Jean Grey through the lens of Peter Parker fixes the biggest headache Marvel has regarding mutants. So today we are breaking down why Spider-Man is the ultimate gateway to the X-Men, why Peter Parker is the only hero who can ground a character as powerful as Jean Grey, and why the fallout of No Way Home might have been the best setup in comic book movie history. So this is your boy Stevie Hayes. This is the Loreverse, and let's dive into this. Now, before we obsess over Jean Grey, we have to first look at the massive hurdle in front of Marvel. How do you bring in mutants when the world has already accepted superheroes? Think about it. We've had the Avengers for years. Thor is a living god who hangs out in public. Captain America is a literal statue of morality. Spider-Man was the friendly neighborhood hero everyone cheered for. People aren't afraid of superpowers. They're used to them. So why would society suddenly start hating mutants? And that's the core of the X-Men, right? The fear of the other in the comics. Mutants are the ultimate minority because their power is a random lottery. It's not about choosing to be a hero. It's about a genetic mutation. Anyone could be a mutant. The baker, the bus driver, your best friend, your kid. That is a deep psychological terror that Marvel hasn't tapped into yet. They need the audience to feel that tension immediately. They need a bridge, and that's where Peter Parker comes in, because nobody, and I mean nobody, understands the weight of being an outsider better than Peter Parker's aka Spider-Man. Now, Peter's arc hasn't been a fairy tale. It's been really a tragedy. He's been bullied, he's been ignored, and he's been misunderstood. He sacrificed his whole entire childhood, his mentor, his aunt, and his friends just to keep people safe. And the final punch to the gut, No Way Home. The world has now forgot he existed. Peter is the most isolated man in the MCU. He's a ghost living in his own life, which is exactly why he's the perfect person to cross paths with someone like Jean Grey. If Jean is on the run, feeling that latent, terrifying, growing power inside her, she's going to be scared. She's going to be looking for a sign that she isn't a monster. And Peter won't look at her with the suspicion the government has. He'll look at her with empathy. He knows what it's like to hide your true self. They share really the same scars at this moment. And that connection, that's where the heart of this movie lives. It's not just action. It's two broken people finding someone who finally speaks their language. And here's where the lore gets really messy, but I think in a good way, because the Department of Damage Control, aka the DODC, over the past few phases, they've quietly transformed from a cleanup crew into a full-blown militarized surveillance state. And we've seen them hunting down enhanced people, seasoned tech, and acting with total impunity. Now, slot Jean Grey into that landscape. You've got a teenager who is accidentally telepathic. She's not just throwing cards, she's reading the intrusive thoughts of the people she walks past. She's a walking, breathing invasion of privacy. You think the government is going to call her a hero? Frick no. The DODC is going to label her as an existential threat. This isn't a fight against a supervillain. It's a fight against a broken, paranoid system. It's the perfect way to show audiences exactly why the X-Men need to exist, to protect their own from a world that wants to lock them in a cage. No Professor X required, no mansion, no backstory dumps, just pure survival-driven tension. And we've seen the big team introduction before, and honestly, I could see it being overwhelming for fans, right? You get the costumes, the jet, the history, and the politics all at once. Marvel has the chance to play this a little bit differently, because think about it. We didn't meet the Avengers until we understood Tony Stark. We didn't care about the Infinity Stones until we cared about Steve Rogers. And if you start with one frightened girl, one person trying to keep her powers from destroying her life, that's human. That's relatable. It keeps the stakes grounded. And Jean shouldn't start as a member of a team. She should start as a victim of her own biology. And let us fall in love with her character first before we worry about the uniforms in the school. Now, let's go back to the No Way Home ending, though, because the spell didn't just hide Peter. It effectively wiped his entire existence from the collective consciousness. He has no emotional support, no safety net. Now, imagine Jean, a telepath trying to navigate the world. She's overwhelmed by the voices of everyone around her. She's picking up on everyone's baggage, and then she hears Peter or rather, she fills his void too. She might be the only person on Earth capable of seeing through the spell. She sees the remnants of his memories, Aunt May, MJ, Ned, floating in his mind like echoes. That moment where someone finally remembers who Peter Parker is, that's not just a plot point, that's the emotional peak of the MCU. It connects the old world of the Avengers to the new world of the mutants through shared quiet trauma. And look, I know everyone wants Wolverine, right? And yet Logan is the king, but Wolverine has been the face of the X-Men for 25 years. It's time for a change of pace. And I think Jean represents something different. She represents the potential for total chaos and total grace. She is the living embodiment of the mutant dilemma. She has the power of a god, but the vulnerability of a teenager. By placing her at the center, you're telling the audience exactly what this new era is about. It's not about being a superhero, it's about control, identity, and finding your place in a world that fears your existence. She is the perfect vessel for those teams. And look, this doesn't mean that she's going to be the leader of the X-Men. I'm more than sure it's going to be Cyclops. So please, guys, you guys got to stop with this these ridiculous theories. Okay, now, see the ripple effect, though, right? Brand New Day introduces Jean. We see her hunted by the DODC. We see her bond with a forgotten Peter Parker. Then post-credits or in the next project, we see the ripple. Cyclops, Storm, Beast, they start appearing because they've been watching. They've seen Jean. They've seen the DODC's aggression. And by the time we get to an X-Men movie, we aren't learning about mutant discrimination for the first time. We're witnessing it. We've lived through it with the characters we already love. That's how you build a cinematic universe. You don't just dump lore, you grow the lore. And we're at the finish line of the multiverse saga, right? Secret Wars is looming and is going to be a total reset. Marvel needs new pillars to hold up the next decade. Spider-Man is the obvious anchor, but he even needs a counterpart. And so pairing Peter with Jean in this movie creates a new emotional core for Spider-Man Brand New Day and for the MCU in general. It gives Jean immediate street cred by putting her next to the biggest hero on the planet. And it also gives Spider-Man a partner who truly understands his isolation. It's really a win-win. And if Marvel pulls this off, they aren't just making a Spider-Man sequel, they are successfully launching the next 20 years of Marvel storytelling. So at first, putting Jean Grey in Spider-Man Brand New Day sounded like another internet rumor. But the more you connect the dots, though, the more obvious it becomes. This is how you bridge the gap. Peter needs someone who remembers him. Jean needs someone who understands the burden of being different. And if these rumors are actually... And if everything is true, Marvel isn't just dropping an X-Men cameo. They are quietly laying the tracks for the entire mutant saga. And they're using our friendly neighborhood hero to open the door. But what do you guys think? Is Jean Grey the missing link for Brand New Day? Or should Marvel keep the X-Men completely separate for now? Are you guys buying the idea of a Peter and Jean team up? Let me know in the comments down below. I really want to hear your theories on this. And hey, if you're as hyped as me for the future of the MCU, don't forget to subscribe to the Loreverse. We're covering every leak, every theory, and breakdown leading up to Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Until the next time, I see you guys later. Stay crispy and peace out.